What is going on? Back at Dave the Confused. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get into it. Horror movies have been around for forever, right? Since black and white, there has been horror movies. And ever so often a horror movie comes into our lives that it's just too much. It's just over the top. Sometimes the directors and actors just go too far for it to be a pleasure to view. And those movies, once you've committed at the beginning of the movie, there's a part of you that says, I have to make it to the end. But once you get there, do you think you can watch that movie over again? Would you even want to? Today I'm going to discuss a couple horror movies that I personally have a really hard time watching for the second time. For the reasons that each movie has like a different reason for me that I can't do it over again. I just can't. Is there a horror movie that you've seen recently that there's no way you would ever watch again? Leave it in the comments below. And just before we get started, I just want to say please go check out our merch. And also, if you are interested in watching me play horror games like Dead by Daylight, Alien Isolation, and things of that nature, please go check out the Twitch at twitch.tv/wreckallthethings. And if you'd be interested in seeing some gameplay footage on this channel, please leave that in the comments below. Okay, let's get into these movies. The first movie that I saw and I did not expect at all to be as brutal as this movie is was Hereditary. Hereditary is one of those movies that it starts out kind of slow. Like, many horror movies have that beginning aspect where things are great and there's just like, like everybody's happy and positive and there's butterflies landing on your shoulder, and then it's just like boom, the worst happens. This movie has a very slow start, but once it gets into it, this movie just burrows into your mind in the worst ways. It uses subject matter to scare you that you don't see in movies all the time. And it's almost too hard to explain. The movie is based around a family that is essentially being followed and haunted by a demonic cult. And it's up to the mother, essentially, to convince her family of what is happening and why all these bad things are happening to them. This movie is beyond graphic. There's certain scenes in this movie that I want to use the term cringe, but add cringe to terrifying. Terrifying. And the ending of this movie is so incredibly hard to watch. And the ironic thing about it is the way it's shot, the camera, and the way it's played out with all the characters. You feel like it's a personal attack on you as the viewer. And I don't always say that about a lot of horror movies because I can take a lot of horror movies, but this is one that's just too over the top for me. It's by the same director that did the movie Midsommar, which again is another very hard movie to watch. So if you're up for the task, Hereditary. But again, I warn you, not for the faint of heart. The next movie I want to talk about is The Mist. Now, The Mist is a really, really good movie. It's a great horror movie, but what makes it so difficult to watch, especially as a parent, is the very ending. Now, keep in mind, through all of this, there's spoiler alerts, right? A mist comes into town and basically takes over an entire town. And within the mist is discovered to be massive monsters that resemble either giant insects or aliens or something. It's never 100% clear of what exactly lives in the mist. and a bunch of survivors are trapped in like a Shoppers Drug Mart or like a grocery store or something, and they have to survive there and figure out how they're going to live with the mist going on. And what takes place in the store is the group gets divided by politics and religion, and it's a terrible situation to be in. Now, what makes this movie so difficult is people that should live in this movie, that should make it, most of the time don't. And that's the hardest part about this movie, is there are characters in horror movies that should essentially make it through the movie due to how they're going through the movie, how they're surviving, and who they are in the plot of the movie. This movie is like, scrap all that. We're going brass tacks. Like, don't get attached to anybody. And the ending, especially from a parental point of view, is one of the hardest things I've ever had to watch. I don't want to give away the entire ending, but like I said, this ending is just emotionally really difficult to stomach. So if you're up for it, The Mist. And remember to leave your picks for the hardest movies to watch in the comments below, and subscribe. Now, my last pick for this list is one of the goriest graphic movies I've ever seen. And it's by Eli Roth. And Eli Roth has brought us so many incredible horror movies that are pretty cringy and pretty gory in their own rights. This one, I think, to me at least, is his number one. Just brutal, slap to the face, eye-opening gore fest that takes things too far. Green Inferno follows a group of volunteer, environmentalists that are staging like a demonstration to save, I believe to be like a rainforest or like a jungle area. And they fly to this remote destination in order to almost like chain themselves to trees to stop construction to taking out the jungle. And who they meet within the jungle is like a savage cannibal tribe that on the outside seem somewhat peaceful within themselves, but are just the worst thing ever. And what these survivors go through and how they're picked off and how they're treated throughout the movie is some of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen. And they hold nothing back. Like, I've never even seen special effects, makeup, and gore like this until this movie. And I'm not downplaying that. The graphics that they have for this cannibalistic tribe, it's unmeasurable to me, honestly. Like, it's like I said, this movie is one of the goriest, bloodiest, insane movies I have ever seen. I have no want or need to watch it again because I can't stomach it. Now, I've seen movies that were hard to stomach, like Human Centipede, which I think is just like a crap fest. Like, it's a movie for you to watch and be like, oh, that is disgusting. Like, why would someone want to do that? This movie's like, I can't keep my eyes on the screen because it's too real. How they've done it is too real. So, those are my picks for horror movies that are way too difficult to watch a second time. Put your picks in the comments below. And like I said, if you're interested in some gaming footage from horror games or just games in general, please put that in the comments. And if it's something that is voted in by the Confused Army, I will put that content up. And don't forget to check me out and my guys on Wreck All the Things at twitch.tv/WreckAllTheThings. Well, thank you for stopping by. I'm Dave, still confused. Be forewarned, these movies are not for the faint of heart. And at least our dogs aren't werewolves. Peace.